Welcome to Transforming and Thriving
with best friends Brooke, Stacy, and Neelia.
Podcast dedicated to women sharing their inspirational stories.
Hey there, everyone. I'm so excited to be here for another episode. I'm Neelia, and today I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by the incredible Jenn Loyd, a personal stylist and founder of Jenn Loyd Personal Stylists. And you can find her at Jenn, JENNLOYD.com. Jenn empowers women to feel like the main characters through curated style and bold accessories. She also offers virtual in-person styling services to help busy women love their look and show up with confidence. Thank you so much for being here today, Jenn. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here, and I would love to just kind of dive right in. And you shared a little bit of your story with me previously, but to share with our guests, would you be able to share a major transition or life event you experienced that kind of marked a before and after in your journey?
Yes. About 5 years ago, I lost my mother-in-law to a tragic car accident. And then less than 3 months later, I lost my mom to cancer. She had battled ovarian cancer for 3 years. And so I kind of am like before that and after. That is a huge life transition for me.
I can't imagine. I mean, it sounds incredibly difficult losing two central figures in your life so close together. And I believe you have daughters, correct?
Yes, I have 3 daughters as well. Yes.
Wow. And how did you begin to process such a profound double loss?
It was very difficult because we lost my mother-in-law November 8th, and then my mom was February 2nd. And then the following month was COVID shutdown. And so I was immediately isolated. And then also having to take care of 3 kids and figure out how to do first grade over Zoom. And then I had a 2 and 3-year-old as well. It was just a lot. So I don't feel like I processed right away. It took a very long time. I was in survival mode.
Jeez. I mean, and basically you became the matriarch with 3 young children and not able to grieve. And then also you're taking on a pandemic. That's a lot to navigate through. Could you share a little bit about what that initial period was like stepping into that role for your family as the new matriarch?
Yes. So it was difficult, but it was something I had to do. It was also kind of like a wake-up call in a way too, because I do have 3 young daughters that are looking up to me, and I am now the sole provider of what womanhood is to them in a sense. They're not going to go off to grandma's house and spend the night and get time with either one of them. I'm lucky enough that I do have amazing women in my life that can, breathe life into my daughters, but it does hit solely on me. And so it was difficult, but I feel like it was something that I just had to do. I didn't really have a choice in that. So it kind of ignited another reason to live amongst the grief, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does,
It gave
unfortunately.
new purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Has this experience kind of grief and stepping into this new leadership role in your family shaped you in your life moving forward, or maybe how you approach your business and empowering other women as well?
Yes, it definitely has changed my approach in all areas of my life. Before I was always busy, and I enjoyed being busy with the girls, they're all their activities and my own business growing and having that thrive. And then this life transition happened, and I would say it helped me stop. Also, the pandemic helped with that too. But I wanted to create more intentionality and a way to have more peace in my home and my life. And so it kind of opened my eyes to a different outlook on how to be more intentional with the time that I do have here on earth with my girls, impacting other women, the purpose that I believe God has given me for my life, as well as just create a peaceful place in my 4 walls for my daughters to grow in.
Well, I mean, that's pretty challenging, you navigating that and then trying to figure out on how to move forward. Did you find anything along the way? Like you said, you had other really wonderful women that you could reach out to. Were they able to kind of give you or share any tidbits or tools or information that helped you kind of process this journey?
Yes, I would say they did give me some ideas on, like, how to process. I think one of, like, a mentor mom in one of my past, like, church groups, she shared how journaling really impacted her and helped her process things. So I started journaling as well as intentionally taking time for myself. As a mom of 3 young daughters, it is was not something that I had prioritized before, and I needed to prioritize it after. So even like working out, finding that like me time. So that way, if I was having a hard day, I had an outlet and I knew that I would be able to go, work out or journal or have some alone time, go on a walk, have that solitude. So that way I wasn't carrying it around and it wasn't affecting the way I treated my family. And so that would be like a tip that I would say is like allow space for yourself in the way that you need to grieve instead of focusing outward. Like it's okay to focus inward at the same time. Like balance both. Both are equally important.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind elaborating, what does that look like? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I can't find the time, or I don't have time to do this, and I don't have time to do that. I know, like for me, I have to use a calendar and I use a calendar on my phone. So when you made this time for like journaling and time for yourself and your priorities and working out, did you use tools that kind of help yourself keep track?
I didn't use like a calendar or a tool that way. No, I had a conversation with my husband and made sure he understood the importance of this situation and allowing me to get a workout in because this was also like during COVID as well. So we were all home together or going out on a walk. So just being extremely transparent in my communication with my spouse helped. So that way he would know like that, hey, you need that 30 minutes or you need that hour for journaling, I like to wake up early in the morning and do it in a nice quiet place without anyone else around, so that way I can, like, quiet my mind. So I would wake up early and do it that way, and then I also didn't feel bad about putting the TV on to babysit my children for a half hour or 40 minutes. It wasn't going to ruin them if I was able to use that as a babysitter, so allowing some grace and letting go of guilt helped me, and those were the things that I used. I didn't do, like, a calendar or anything, I just made sure that, like, I know that this is something that's extremely important, and I needed to prioritize that, and communicating that to the people that I needed help with in order to make it happen.
That makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate you saying that, giving yourself grace, because I think a lot of people forget to do that. And maybe they feel a little bit of shame for doing certain things that kind of works for their family. But, different things work for different people. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's the right or wrong thing to do. It's just what works for them and their family. So I really appreciate you sharing that because it's like, who's to judge?
Right?
And communication. I think communication is really helpful. Like you said, you shared with your husband what you needed. Not everyone does that, as we all know. And I think, those are really important words of wisdom. Is there anything that you would specifically share with someone else who might be going through something similar? Like if you were to give them your top suggestions on how to navigate what they might go through because you went through this, in the past.
One thing I would share is, like, the first year, you're numb, or at least I was very numb, and I have heard this from other people as well, and that the second year is the harder year. Like, a lot of times people are like, "Oh, it's the first Christmas that without them," or the first Mother's Day without them. And, yeah, those days were hard, but it really hit the second year where it was like, "Okay, I'm not numb anymore." Like, I really understand the gravity of what we are missing in our lives now. And so to prepare for that, it was nice to like somebody had shared that with me and I understood it. And it was nice to be able to prepare for that, to allow space for me to process that and just have the feelings. Another tip I would give is like, and have the feelings. Like, don't shove the feelings away. They are normal, and we are all entitled to have our own, emotions and expressions for these things, but and also allowing a way to live them. Because I know for me, like, when I would try to block out the feelings or not talk about it, ignore what I was, going through and that grief, it just made it so much harder than just sitting down and crying for a half an hour or journaling it out, my thoughts, like how this is so unfair or this, whatever I was feeling at the time. Allowing the space to process those emotions is more beneficial to me and my family in the long run than masking them. So embrace the journey of the grief and just know it's going to be different for everybody, but you're going to have your own path, and embrace the path so that way you can see some joy and brightness on the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about your daughters? How did they process? Were they able to kind of process that because they saw you as like an inspiration or someone that they could come and share their feelings with?
I would think that yes. So my oldest was 7 when they passed, and then my younger 2 were 2 and 3. So I don't feel like could quite grasp the tragedy that happened to us in that sense, but my 7-year-old definitely could, and, like, the worst part for her was that it happened during her birthday party is when we got the phone call that grandma got hit by a car. And so having to teach her how to process that and see, like, how she would associate for a few years after her birthday went along with the anniversary of grandma's passing. It was hard to do that, but at the same time, I was like, we talk about it. If you wanna talk about it, we are here to talk about it, like, what is coming up for you, like, and if she brought it up, we didn't just brush it away, embracing her thoughts and, like, asking her questions was huge. And for my other 2, they were so much younger, so they don't quite understand, but they do know that there's a loss. Like, they know they don't have grandmas, and they will say, like, "I miss her." Like, a lot of it comes out, like, at night and, like, bedtime routines for both of them, like, "I miss grandma, I miss Nana," and, like, talking about them and keeping their light alive for them has been helpful, like, telling stories and just embracing where they are. I wouldn't say, like, they could use me as an inspiration because they're just so young, but just keeping lines open to know that it's always a safe place, whatever your thoughts are. And they have shared the same thoughts, like, "This is so unfair. So and so at school has a grandma that picks her up, and I don't have that." So just being able to be open and process and be like, "You're right." Like, meeting them where they're at and their feelings to validate them is extremely important for me and my husband.
Yeah, wow, I commend you. And I can't imagine having to, I guess, relay that information to such a young mind. I commend both you and your husband for being there for your daughter and having that open communication because I can't say everyone else does. And like you said, that you don't brush it off or you don't silence that conversation, I think is really important, especially for young growing minds to be like, oh, I can ask my mom or dad. And, I'm feeling this way. And having that open conversation or outlet to be able to rely on my parents to be able to talk to me about this versus like, oh, let's just, brush it off and, it's too hard to talk about. So I'm sure your daughters really appreciate that, even though you're also kind of processing this as well at the same time. Is there like final thoughts that you would want to leave with someone, whether it be with their children or with themselves or their spouses?
I would share to talk about it, to be open and honest where you're at with people that you feel safe with. You don't need to go and tell, everybody what you're going through, but find some, like, your spouse or your best friend. If you've lost a parent, you can connect with your other parent and just be open and honest about just what you're feeling and what you're going through, because none of us are walking this path alone. Like you have somebody in all of our lives where they have walked through a grief journey or another type of tragedy. So being open and honest and talking about it, and then also like asking for help when you need it. I'm a huge proponent of that because so many other people want to be there to help, like your friends and your family want to help, but we don't know what to help with unless we're told. So I would be like, ask for the help when you need it. Talk about it with your friends and your family when you need to help you process it instead of masking it and trying to be strong, because like the real strength isn't in the silence. The real strength is being able to go and talk about it and be open and honest. So that way, other people also know that they are not alone, and sharing that and bringing your community together during this process. I have done that and I have found like such an immense joy in that. I have a couple other friends who have lost their mothers, and we call ourselves like the motherless daughters. And knowing that, like, we're not alone is so, like, massive because we can text each other, like, "I'm having a hard day," or, "Can you pray for me?" Like, "Man, this really sucks." Like, Mother's Day is hard. Or, like, leading up to my mom's birthday. My mom's birthday is in a week and a half, and just being like, oh, having that person to reach out to that also understands that same loss is huge, because then it just gives you the validation that, like, you know what? I am gonna be okay. They're okay too, and it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to be open and honest and acknowledge what we're feeling.
I appreciate that. And I would be a total hypocrite because I tell people others the same thing, like ask for help. People want to be able to be there for you, but sometimes they don't know how unless you ask or tell them. And I think for me, it's, in the past when I went through what I shared on a previous episode, it was hard for me to learn how to ask for help or accept help. And it sounds like you have really embraced that and also shared with a group of your friends so that you can kind of create that connection within each other. And I think it's almost that's helping you transition, even although you're all grieving, you are all there for each other, which kind of like maybe is somewhat of a positive that
Oh,
coming
definitely. Yes.
coming from a negative.
Yeah.
Um,
When we ask for help and we know that the other person is coming to the table with amazing intention of their heart to help, and they want to pick up that burden with us, we are allowing that person to have joy because they're able to help and they want to help. And when we don't do that, we are robbing people of that joy and that what they get from helping too. So I'm a huge proponent on asking for the help when it's needed, because we like, yes, you're helping me, but in a way, like, I'm helping them too. And then they know that, hey, Jen is now a safe place to come and ask for help. So it's like you create a circle of, receiving and giving. And like there's so much joy in that amongst the pain.
yeah, I totally agree 100%. Yeah, because sometimes people are like, well, I don't know what to say. Like on the other end, the person that
Mhm.
is wanting to help. Well, you don't have to know exactly what to say. But it's nice for you to say something like, "Hey,"
Yes.
like, even if it's a quick text message, like, "Hey, here for you," "Thinking of you," whatever it may be. And, I can't speak for everybody, but sometimes it's something as simple as that, and you not having to have all the right words to say at the right time or, the right dish to bring over to food, like if you
Yeah.
wanna make something for them, because everyone wants to give in their way, but sometimes the receiver doesn't want to receive in the way that someone else might want to give,
Yes.
you know? Like you said, grief is different for everybody. Sometimes one person might wanna be alone and have some space where the next person might want to, like, share all their feelings and want to go to a group circle, and then someone else wants to just, be in their own quiet little circle of no one. So, yes, I appreciate you kind of reiterating that, and I really appreciate you opening up and sharing. It's quite inspiring to hear your unique journey and the lessons that you've learned and hearing the circle of friends that you've embraced, what you've shared with your daughters, with your husband, the communication. I think your story has an opportunity to touch so many lives, not only those who have or are going through something similar, but maybe their loved ones that are trying to find ways to support them. So I really appreciate it, and I know others will too. And if you don't mind, I would love for you to share, because I know that I've specifically went to your blog and I absolutely love it because it it made me realize like why I think hoop earrings, it sounds really trivial, but why hoop earrings don't look good with my face shape. But reading your stylist, like, blog, I loved reading it, and I'd love for others to be able to connect with you. Would you mind sharing how others could maybe learn more about your styling services and how others can connect with you to hear more inspiring and other information that you'd love to share?
Yes, I am a personal wardrobe stylist and I love helping women feel confident and beautiful in the clothes that they wear because our clothes represent us. And when we look good, we feel good and it just flows. So you can find me at jennloyd.com. I share blog posts there with styling tips. I've been a stylist for over 12 years. So, and I just love uplifting women and creating that confidence from within. You can also find me on Instagram at Love Jenn Loyd. It's Jen with two N's and Lloyd with one L.
Thank you so much. We'll make sure to include all that information in our show notes. And so we really appreciate you being here today, and thank you again.
Thank you so much.
To all of our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Transforming and Thriving. We'll be back every other Monday with more inspiring stories. Please follow us on your favorite podcast app and follow us on Instagram so you can be a part of this community and stay up to date with each episode. Feel free to leave a review so that we can get your valuable feedback and other people can find these powerful stories. We're all in this crazy life together, so let's move through it together. See you there.